Hi, everybody. Welcome to Boulton from Boulton, the show where my brother Josh and I set each other up for lively hockey talk, and more recently have been setting up various special guests. Well, today, however, now let's keep this metaphor going, you may be tempted to call us for delay a game, as regular listeners might have expected this release almost a week ago. And just before I introduce today's guest, I would like to take a moment on that with this opportunity, dear listeners. You might all imagine how much it is to organize time to get a guest, plus Josh and I on a call, and then what goes into preparing and finalizing an episode for release for us all to enjoy. And then you might also imagine that we all have real lives, and that it makes it even more pressing to put something out and together this each week. So with that, I just want to say that while we are going to continue releasing these interviews, which we find great value and deep enjoyment in doing, please don't expect one out every week. Although we've set out on that pace, or we had set out, I don't think it's sustainable. Case in point today, already, 4th episode. So please stay tuned and please enjoy the latest whenever it comes. And you might subscribe and hit notifications so you can learn whenever a new one is dropped. Another thing, I can also imagine that many people who've been listening in on this latest series would actually like to come on and record an episode with us. It's like, why don't they invite me, right? But those who have interacted, I've seen some of you, and then even some who haven't, know that you are on our mind. Other listeners have actually suggested people directly to us. We will get to all of you. Again, we just have to imagine that even at a weekly pace, how long it would have to be to get everyone on. In the meantime, we very much appreciate the audience that surrounds this show so far, and I hope you continue to interact with each episode with comments and messages and such. I add that it's also easier for Josh and I to get together each week, or not each week, but just the two of us sometimes. So we will also get back to periodically throwing out some shows without guests. Let us know if you have any topics or questions you'd like us to have at, or any suggestions at all regarding this show at all. Your participation in this is making it both more fun and rewarding for us, and more valuable to listeners too, which is you. And now on with our scheduled program. You want fun? We've brought fun. This next guest is what Friends and Banter is all about. But unfortunately, Steve, I'm sorry, I have to apologize with that intro there. We're out of time and you're being bumped from career day. Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, let's hold on here. Now, this show, guys, and these interviews in particular, is about sharing perspectives on hockey that extend beyond just the rink, beyond the dedication, the glory, the heartache, the drive to succeed on the way to the next level, etc. We aim to bring forth here that there's so much on top that hockey and sports in general give a person. Our guest today is a prime example of the other things I long to recapture when I think of my youth and my sporting days that we all hope to recapture. So I'm laughing to introduce our former teammate and friend, Stephen P. Grant.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me. Good to get on. I mean, it's one of those things, right? Certainly with social media, you feel like you're still in touch, but I mean, it has been a while since we've certainly chatted, I'd say, 3 of us together. So great to be on.
You're right. It's a different level. And I want to always get Josh turned on here before we get going. How's it going over there, Josh?
It's going good. And one of the things I always find interesting about Steve in particular, you talk about social media and we don't chat, but you just have such a distinct way of talking that you're one of those people where I always read your messages in your voice. So it's like we are chatting.
That's
somehow,
it.
You know, everyone says sarcasm is so hard to get in text and all that, but you somehow you feel every word you're saying and how you're saying it.
Yeah. Glad you can get the delivery, right? Sometimes it gets lost.
It does.
It does get lost. But we groomed the understanding over that, you know, particularly that year in Truro where we were really rolling together. And we'll get all into that as we go. But that's, you know, now we can just see right in it right away. I do want to start off, though, before we get there, just with like I do with most guests, I'm really interested in people's story, how they even get into hockey, this game that we love. Where did you grow up and when and how did you get into it?
Yeah, so for me, I grew up in Cornerbrook, Newfoundland. So that's on the west coast of the province. And for me, I was a little bit later starting. My brother, he's 5 years older than me. He was pretty into hockey at an early age. I mean, he started probably at the age of 2, I think. So we were probably living in the States at that point in time, and Dad was probably finishing up his career. He was into it at a young age, and it was always had that interest. I mean, for me, I was a little bit later. I think I started skating probably a little bit early, but when it came to hockey, I was probably 7 or 8 years old, I think, by the time I actually got involved in it. A lot of my friends just weren't really playing it. They're always into different things. So for me, I was a little bit later. We moved to St. John's. I was 9 years old at the time. And for me, I mean, didn't really know anyone. So for me, it was a good way, I guess, to get in and to meet some people. And, you know, Dad kind of threw me into a program out there. And, you know, you know how it is, right? You start meeting people, and that's your family, right? So, I mean, for me, that's where I got to meet a lot of people, being the new guy in town at that point in time. So, that was kind of my start, and away from there.
All right. And you had a hockey dad. He spent some time in the NHL. And how did that influence you? And what memories do you have of any of that? It looks like, I mean, obviously not too much. You weren't pushed in.
Yeah, no, I got to say, I mean, that's one thing for him. I mean, he was always extremely supportive. And I think of any practice or game I ever went to, I mean, he was there unless there was some serious issue that was keeping him from the rink. So he always had that support, but he was never one to push it, right? And for my brother that I mentioned, I mean, he kind of gave it up at an early age. I think he kind of had the reverse. I mean, a lot of his friends that he grew up with were more into basketball, and on the West Coast, skiing's really big here. So, you know, he was into a lot of different sports, and he kind of quit at an earlier age, and he kind of came back full circle, I guess, when he kind of graduated high school. When I guess he was probably like 19 or 20, he started playing again. He found his way back into the game and playing some senior and stuff like that. So, you know, for him, I think, you know, it was a little bit of a different, I picked it up at a little bit later age, and I kind of, fell in love with the game. And I guess, I don't know if it was a matter of, you know, I mean, whatever it was. I mean, I guess timing's everything. But for me, you know, it started off as a way to meet people, and, you know, you get in and that competitive drive kind of takes over, and, you know, away from there. And, you know, I can't say that I was ever, you know, the most talented one out there, but I mean, for me, I think anything that I got was based off of hard work, right? I mean, I was never the best skater. I never had the best hands, but, you know, there wasn't many people that were going to outwork me, I guess, right? If I wanted to get that puck in the corner, I felt like I was going to get it, but.
That's what you do.
That was it.
So what are some of your biggest memories of youth hockey once you got into it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, geez, once we got around the point of it, like, I mean, I beat around house league for a couple of years. I think my second year, Adam, I think I finally made an Adam B team. I was a big slow forward, I think, at that point in time. And I actually managed to, I didn't even remember this until digging through some old stuff for this conversation, but I think I was actually the MVP that year. But
boy,
I found an old rinky-dink trophy. I don't know if I can compete with that intimidating round of medals there behind Josh. I don't know if we can kind of get those cropped out somehow, but
those are the medals. The trophies are in the back.
I think I see Turin's name on a few of those. Are they? Can you vouch for those, Matt, or what?
He did a medal drive down the street one day. He went down the houses and asked if they had some spare ones.
Some of those
man.
Kids.
No, he's got them all up there. He's got all the trophies, as he says, to go with it, man. Just all kinds of stuff involved in everything when we're young, right?
Yeah, well, maybe we can get the tour later. He can take us to the trophy room. We'll see. We'll see where the magic happens, right? But yeah, for me, I think after that year at Adam, I played Pee Wee B, and again, I was still a forward, and you know, I couldn't crack the A team again. And I think second year Pee Wee, I remember trying out, and you know, I thought I had a decent camp. And at that point in time, the coach, he's like, you know what? I think I'm going to put you back D. I was like, D? Like, geez, you know, I felt like I was just getting the handle of skating forwards. Now I got to try and learn how to skate backwards, right? But so anyhow, no, we had a great season, and you know, I never looked back from there. And then that was the start of my, I guess, A career. And you know, I played first year Bantam, was a decent season. The second year Bantam, we went to the Irving Cup, played against a few people that I think we played the Halifax Hawks in that one.
The Irving
was on. Yeah, the Irving Cup.
The Irving Cup, just for listeners, that's the Bantam Atlantic Championship.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, we had a pretty good team. You know, Halifax had a great team that year. I mean, Ryan Lozon was there, Anthony Purchase, Brian Sutherland, I think, would have been on that team. I remember they had a pretty solid squad there, right? At that age, you know, and you certainly come across a few of those names. Actually, Purchase, one of the head guys in our company there on the retail side of things there. So he's up in head office there, right? Funny how things come around in the hockey world.
It all does.
Back around again. Yeah.
That's his second mention on the podcast in 2 weeks too.
Oh yeah, Birchie?
Yeah, Purchase is getting all kinds of air to like name drops here.
Yeah. I don't know if he signs off on my checks at some level, right? So I don't know how to give him a good plug, right?
Yeah, we put out his 200-point season in Pee Wee alongside Josh and Avery that time. So there you go, Purchase.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was looking at it was an old program. It was that Dartmouth one that I was talking about from the which I was wondering why I even had it. It was from that exhibition game that I guess I crossed paths with Josh and Truro, and I had no idea. A little bit of foreshadowing, I guess, of things to come. But
yeah.
What was that? You said you had You showed me a program.
Summer.
Well, I can put it up there for us, but yeah, there you go. Look at that. Whoa.
All right. Matt had some previous year stats. You were up there pretty well, but I had no idea that Kenny McPherson was a bit of a stud there. I think he led the team in points the previous year, 95, 96 or something.
Kenny G is nicknamed Grits. That's what we just call him. We just call him Grits because he had that smooth it was everything, right? He's a player, man. And then that's why we come to the Bearcats. We're like Jenny G's, and Kenny McPherson. Holy crap! Team's looking good.
Steve Truro decided that Kenny was a super good skater, which he is. He's smooth as can be. And he also decided I was not the best skater. As you know, he once referred to me as one of the worst skaters in the whole league at junior ed. Yes. But so he, in midget, when I played with Kenny, we did a 12-minute aerobic skate, which is just, 70% full stride for 12 minutes, for those that don't know. And he made me follow Kenny. No, Josh, you're not doing this by yourself. You have to follow Kenny and watch him and do what he does. So that was what I did for 12 minutes. Kenny's just like, what is happening? What is this guy doing? Like, why? Yeah. I just want to go for a skate. Now I gotta, come on, hop along. I know the trail. Here we
go. Well, that's something. I didn't know that. There you go. Now, do you think Growler decided you weren't a good skater, or did he just observe you skating or something like that?
It wasn't hard to tell at that time. I might have needed some work.
But you've definitely come along your skating. It's like you look like a regular skater now. It's amazing, right?
Thank you, Kenny G. Yeah. Thank you, Kenny.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Did you say you played Josh or something? Was that?
Yeah, so that would have been the following year, I guess, would have been my first year of midget AAA here. So I played with the St. John's Maple Leafs AAA team. And on the way to the Monktonian, we had a couple games arranged. So I think we had a game a night or two before. I think we had actual league games here against the Western team. We played them at Port Basque before we got on the boat, which I almost got suspended in that game. But the last one before we made the trip, getting ready to go away to a tournament, right? And total just BS call, right? But it was one of these things that there was a guy. He actually ended up playing in Amherst, I think, years later. Ian Bound, I think was his name. He's a big guy. But anyhow, he's a bit of a mouthpiece out there. And he came over at me a little bit, and I just kind of went to give him a whack with the stick. My stick cracked off, and he kind of went down as if I speared him. Like I think it was one of those Easton Ultralights, like those reddish orangey kind of ones. Like and it snapped so easy. And I was like, oh my God. And the ref, like all of a sudden, and here's a big guy drops, and he's there with like, a bit of a grin on his face, like looking at me, like as he turtles. And the ref comes over and, throws everything at me, kicked me out, and ended up seeing the ref later on. He's like, you're lucky I didn't give you. He said, outside of you going to that tournament, he said, I would have given you a match. I was like, I didn't even do anything. Like, like it was just like a weak spot in the stick. Like, trust me, I wanted to give him a good whack, but geez,
and you got suspended though.
Stick. I didn't. So he did. The ref didn't do it.
Sorry, you almost got suspended. Sorry, right.
Yeah. So I ran into him after, and he said that, catch on the replay. But so the ref after the game, he's like, he said, other than I knew you were going away to a tournament, he said, I really could have suspended you, right? And I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Well, I mean, good on him anyway that he considered that much of it, right? And thought, it's possible. I didn't see everything. Hey, we got to give a little bit of props to the referee here. But although he did blow it, but he didn't quite fully blow it.
It's funny the things you remember, because it was foreshadowing, because that game was at Colchester Legion. And it's funny, we were both talking about it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that ended in a 2-2 tie. You're like, yeah, I think it was a tie. Why would we remember that was a tie? Exhibition game, random.
Yeah, but really meant nothing, right? Yeah. But it was. I'm almost positive you're right. It was a 2-2 tie, and you think about that rink. I thought I'd never see that rink again. Like it was like,
I know.
It felt like such a random place for me. I mean, I was familiar with like the Halifax area. I was familiar with like Cape Breton area. Truro, I didn't even know it existed until that game. Right? It was funny.
We're looking at it. Go, what is that? What is that fence in the back of the wall behind the net? Why is there a little square of chain link? Like, what is happening?
Yeah,
it's a rough place, right?
Well, we would become very familiar with Colchester Legion, right, boys? So would this have been the next season then, Grant, that you came after that? Or was that your first year with the St. John's?
Yeah. So that would have been my first year of midget. And so that was en route there. And we had a decent season. We finished up, but I think we lost to Tri-Pen in the playoffs that year. So another one of the local teams here. So we didn't make it. The following year, though, although that year, I got trying to think here now, doing through the math here in my head.
Look out for math.
Gone away. Yeah, I know, right? Jeez. But I think that was the summer. I think I got drafted to the OHL that year by Barrie in the 12th round, sympathy pick, I think. But anyhow, went up to camp, was pretty good. Martin School, Daniel Tkachuk undressed me one day in the inner squad. So unreal. He was such a good player. Best skater I've been up against at that point of my career, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a couple guys from Newfoundland that were up there at the time. Brian Barker was a really good player.
Yep.
Keith Delaney. Brian Finley was a goalie. He ended up getting drafted by the Atlanta Thrashers. I think he played with them a little bit. He was a kind of right-handed catching goalie. I don't know how long of a career he had after, but I remember seeing that. But anyhow, it didn't work out for me. I guess I couldn't stack up against Martin Skula back there on the point.
Oh. But, so after the Barrie camp, you kind of...
I went home. Yeah, so they offered me to go to North York, I think was their team at the time. And it's funny. I mean, you're going through all the stuff there, and they're telling you about how great it is, and they're focused on schooling and all those things. I remember meeting some guys in that camp, and the guys are in their like senior year or like their final year of junior, and probably still in grade 10 level, right? I'm like, man, I don't know about this, right? I remember I think I'm gonna go home and finish school. I was like, what's the worst that happens, right? Play another year AAA and whatever. I mean, I don't know if I ever thought that I'd make the NHL kind of thing, right? I mean, to me, it would have been a great experience to play, but it's like, you know what? Let's go home and get school out of the way and see what happens, right? I mean, I always knew that was kind of more important anyway. Mm-hmm. But I had a good year. We went to the Air Canada Cup that year.
Nice.
At the end, so that was huge. That was in PEI. We had a brutal schedule though. I remember there was a big goings on around that. We didn't think much of it as a team at the time, but I remember everyone was all upset, like the parents and coaches. I mean, it was a big deal. We had 4 games. Our schedule was 4 games in like 30 hours. So I mean, they were all like, geez, that's crazy. Like, how did this ever get approved? And anyhow, I think there's a whole backstory that I think they had to send it to, I guess, the local governing body here, which is, I don't know what it was at the time. I think it's HNL now. But anyhow, I guess like the guy that was in charge of, the hockey here, he was away on vacation or something. So he missed the memo and he didn't get to approve the schedule or get to look at it. But, whatever. We didn't care. We were young and going to play it. We didn't care what the schedule was. But I remember we lost a heartbreaker to, I guess it was Pictou, like the Weeks. So again, it would have been some guys would have come up against down the line, like Fanning would have been there, Derek Field. And I'm not sure if it was Sim. I think it was Danny Bowie was the goalie. And I mean, we outshot him. My God, it felt like, 40 or 50 to 20, and we lost 2-1. I mean, it was an absolute heartbreaker. And, I think we lost one game that we shouldn't have. I think maybe to New Brunswick. Like a 1-goal game again, and that was it. We were pretty well done from it, right? But it was a great tournament, though. I mean, I would never blame the schedule; it just was what it was. But I remember at the time there was always there's a big thing about it, right? But then after that year would have been leading into the year where I would have met you guys. So then I went to camp in Cape Breton, and from there ended up in Truro.
Okay, yeah, and that's what I want to know. So how did how do you even get into Truro? Like somebody call you up and see you somewhere and said, hey, I mean, what happens? How do we all get here?
I know, right? And again, you're looking through a series of programs like that Dartmouth one. I mean, I didn't even realize till seeing that Steve Kroll would have been, like the coach for the Subways. And then Steve Kroll was the coach of Team Atlantic that I played for in the World Under-17 Championships, right? So again, I played with like a lot of people that you would have played with, Evan Chevery, Ryan Dodge, Chris Barnett, and the list goes on, right? So, and I know that a few of those names have been mentioned from, I don't know if it was Jeff Carter's that you guys did the interview with, but it was, a lot of those names came up. So Steve Kroll was the coach of that. So that's how I got to meet Growler.
What was it all about going to the Worlds then? What was that experience, and where was it, and what? I don't even know anything about it.
That was in Red Deer. So, I played with Team Atlantic there then. So there's a group of us, all through the Atlantic provinces, and we were going to play against, I think the first game we had was an exhibition game against Team US. They had David Legwand would have been a big one for them there. Brooks Orpik would have played. Jordan Leopold. Like I remember, with those names kind of sticking out from that game. I think we lost 6-1 that game. It was like a kind of pre-tournament game warm up, but I thought that was pretty good considering against Team US.
Yeah, we
didn't fare so well against Team Sweden. The Sedins absolutely smoked us. I think we lost. I don't know if it was 21-2 or something like that. And, the one nugget I think about for that one, I was the only plus player on the team out of that game.
Wow.
Nice.
Finished +1.
That's the feather in your cap of your whole career, isn't it? Like you just say, I was playing against the Sedins. We got beat 21-1. I was a plus player. What else do you need?
Yeah.
That's
There's a B side to that, though, right? In that game, I had a penalty in that game. And coming out of the box, it should have been offsides. Anyhow, I get ready to go to the bench. Just divine intervention or something, whatever. I don't even know if I was looking for the puck. All of a sudden, my stick hits the ice, and there's a puck on it. I was like, okay, there's no whistle. Start skating. And anyhow, going in, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I got a breakaway. Made a move, kind of like fake forehand to the backhand. Had the goalie beat, blew a tire. Couldn't score, wiped out. I was devastated, right? I remember thinking about how pissed I was at the time. Never should have had the opportunity because it should have been offsides, but completely blew it.
Wow. Well, you had him beat. Let's just hang on to that memory.
That's the important part.
I remember going back to the bench. I think it was Robbie Harvey. He was from New Brunswick. He said, "Man, that was a great move." He said, "You had him beat." I said, "Yeah, thanks."
Yeah, thanks. There you go.
Good teammate, right? Trying to prop you up.
Hey, no, I mean, it was. Well, so that makes a lot of sense now. So you had experience with Growler. Is it him then that kind of had you in mind, said, okay, I want this guy, and he told you, look, here's my team. Okay, so that was it.
So I remember at the end of the tournament, we were leaving. I just went up and said, thanks for the opportunity. I mean, obviously he was a part of picking me for the team, so I said, I really appreciated being a part of it. And he said, yes, listen. We'll keep in touch. You don't know where things go, right? I guess it might have been the year after. I guess that would have started with you guys. Would have been the first year, right?
Yeah.
In Truro? Yeah.
Okay. So I want to ask you about that then. I mean, so far on the show, we've had Framer, Kartzi, and then Sandra, and they were all from that inaugural year, right? And we focused in each time. I want to ask people's perspective on that great playoff run. And there was undoubtedly magic in that first year. But so what were some impressions for you coming in? Did you feel anything like that? Like anything of what this was and coming in?
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest with you. And to me, coming out of the Cape Breton camp, I mean, obviously I would have liked to have made it there and was down there with Robbie Bennett. I think he played with you guys in Truro the year before. So he would have been my teammate.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, Josh, yeah.
Oh, Robbie Bennett. Yeah, and Josh.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah. So anyhow, he ended up sticking around in Cape Breton, and I made my way up. I said, well, just stick around and go see what it is, and I figured I'd take a year and play some hockey and see what happened. I didn't know much about Truro, and I didn't really know who was going to be on the team, to be honest with you, right? So although Dean Burton from here, who I'd played with growing up, I mean, he ended up coming up there as well. So, I mean, that was good. And then Mike Keogh was there, which, I played against him my first year at AAA. I mean, he was from Labrador, so we didn't have any crossover. Yeah, we never had much crossover up until we got up there in my first year AAA, and then met him again in Truro. I think he billeted with me actually at one point coming up through minor hockey. I think it might have been AAA. But
wow, isn't that?
It was interesting to see him. I had no idea he was going to be there, right? So it was always nice to have some people that you kind of knew, right? Did you have any other first impressions of people and players in the organization when you kind of came after you did arrive? Yeah, I mean, it was I think about the camp, and I remember getting introduced to Alan Dwyer pretty quickly in a game. I think I threw a hit at him. He threw a hit at me. We met in front of the net, and yada yada yada. The gloves were off, and it was welcome to camp, kid, right? But I mean, it's funny. After it was it was what it was, right? It was just hockey.
He found out you were the only plus player in that World Under 17 game, so he was like, "Whoa, what was I doing?"
he had a bone to pick, right? Yeah, but no, I mean, he was a great guy. I think about him, he's just one of those people that played hard, he played tough, but I mean, he was an ultimate teammate, right? And you could tell that from the start. He wasn't a dirty player, but he played. I always really appreciated him.
Mm-hmm.
Carter, he's a guy that stood out to me. I mean, obviously outside of you guys, Dougie Clark, I used to like watching him play. I mean, Framer could move out there.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Smith, I mean, I don't know. It's funny. I was looking through that program. I know we talked about it earlier. It had to be a misprint. I think they had him in at 6'1", 210. He felt like a giant to me. I mean, it was just, I don't know if it was his presence in general or just, you know what I mean? Like he had that Rick James aura about him or something, right? It was just...
That's right. It was. I mean, he was particularly big, but it was partly aura, and it partly was he's just thick and big on top of being big. If that makes any sense.
We would go around him on one-on-one drills in practice, and it was back then you could sort of do things to guys when they skated by you. So you'd get around him, and you just grab the back of your pants and just hold on. You wouldn't be going anywhere. You're like stuck to a stake in the ground. You just kind of laugh.
Yeah.
How strong does the guy need to be to do that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was, He certainly had whatever room he needed on the ice, right? I mean, it was, I'm not sure that, I'm trying to think. I mean, in that year, I don't think I ever saw him fight. I don't think he ever had to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not sure there was many people that were looking to ring that bell with him. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, nobody's taking that on. Let's immediately, jump into life off the ice. You billeted with Steve Kroll, didn't you, Grant? Right? Okay, so who was in the house, and what do you remember about any of that?
My God, it was like a sweatshop in the basement. I mean, you had myself, Sean, Dean Burton, and you had Wynot there as well, right?
Oh man!
So I pulled rank. I don't know how. I ended up in a room by myself. And poor old Sean Kroll had to share with the other two buckos, right? But I mean, it was great. I gotta say, I mean, they were all fantastic to live with. I mean, it was almost like a basement apartment, really. I mean, we all had full reign of it. It was just a great group, right? I mean, Wynot was a fantastic character. Dean Burton, I mean, I'd known him a long time. Just a good, solid, pretty quiet guy, but a good, solid guy. And Sean, I mean, I thought he was hilarious, right? But
Sean Kroll, Steve's son, getting in with the boys, living with the boys at his house. He wasn't playing on the team or anything, right? But that was a relationship there.
That was awesome. We had a Halloween-a-thon. I'll never forget. Just watched all the Halloween movies right in a row. And just, you can't really just do that with anybody. He's just one of those guys. He's awesome.
Yeah. But no, I got to say, they were fantastic. And I mean, Nanette, she was, Steve's wife was unreal. And I mean, Bryson, I'd like to see what he looks like now. I mean, I think about, like some of those pictures I was looking at and some of the memories. I mean, he was a baby. So, I mean, he's obviously a man now. I mean, that's seems like half my life away now. I mean,
I was involved with the junior team here in Brookfield, and Bryson was one of our players one year.
Really?
The GM. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah.
It's a bit mind-blowing, right? It's like I don't feel like I'm aging until all of a sudden all these kids are getting old around you, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I am old.
Yes, I feel that experience. It is dry. I was thought of that thing as like a downstairs apartment. I had been there a few times, and guys were down there, and then you come out and there's like a living room area. You got your own fridge and everything going on down there. So it really was like a little apartment for the boys.
Yeah, definitely was squirreling away some chocolate milk and treats down there for sure, right?
Yeah.
I remember staying there, and because I billeted there my first year, and then I was good friends with Wynot, and got to know you guys pretty good. And I was there. We came off a really late road trip, and you guys were still in high school, or a couple of them were still in high school, whatever it was. And I remember we got home from a late road trip, and the guys were like, I'm not going to school today. Like, just sleep in. We just got in the door like 4 a.m. And Steve was having none of that, came down, get out of bed, get to school, whatever, right? And he was so like convincing and scary that like, university student, I sat up. I was ready to march off to high school with them all. You better get out of here. Like,
oh man. Yeah, but it was pretty good. And I think, I think the one part of it though, I think living at the coach's house, I probably didn't get out to as much shenanigans as some of the people did on the team, right? So it was...
I can imagine. That's what I always thought about living at that place. It's just a little bit different, and it depends on where you are. There's all kinds of places, different dynamics and atmospheres in a place. But it is with that though. You obviously still had a lot of fun. Maybe not shenanigans, all in that, but definitely daily and funny shenanigans with us. The three of us rolled a lot. I just recall during that year. And you would have been over at Jeff and Sean's house. Jeff and Sean lines up on my billet family. Me and Josh lived there the second year together, and I lived there 2 years. The first with Dan Reed, and then second with Josh. And then Josh lived there another year with Why Not after, right?
With Why Not.
There you go. So 3 years of the Boultons at the Lions house. But that second year, you were, or my second year, you were rolling there a lot. And so let's get into all that, guys. That's what we're here for. So the first thing I think of too is obviously the Agriculture College, the Nova Scotia Agricultural College, and the classes there. What do you guys recall about any of that? You take it.
Oh man, I mean, I'm trying to think, and I was trying to think about how we actually came to be that close. And I think it was at the college, right? I think it was like the first day there. I think I got dropped there and I had no way home. And I think you guys offered to bring me home, and I think it was it. I think you were stuck with me from that point on, right? But I think there's so many things about that place. I mean, it's, I think about the food here, what was on the menu. I'm trying to think of what was on like those old pizza boxes and stuff like that. Like those
pizza perfection. Pizza perfection, right?
Yes.
The little 4 pieces about that big. Pizza perfection.
Right. Sorry that we're going on here because everybody has their university experience and those kind of mini pizzas at any university. What we're talking about is the Nova Scotia Agriculture College was the local university, and we were able, for example, myself was able to transfer credits from St. Mary's University, from the Agriculture College to a St. Mary's degree where I might pick up my education the following year. Right. So we went and took courses there. Whereas the first year I was driving into SMU all the time. Me and Dougie and I think it's 4 of us. Josh, were you coming?
Me and Dixon.
Okay, and Dixon. We'd all drive in the Bearcats van to SMU every day. Well, every day we had classes and come back. The first year, but the second year we were able to transfer credits from the Agriculture College. So that's why we were going there, and we had a university experience, going to the cafeteria, pizza perfection. What else?
Another reason we were going there is because they didn't want us to go to SMU anymore because there were reports of maybe how fast that Bearcat van was traveling on the highway in between Truro and Halifax sometimes.
Who was driving that van? Yeah.
Let's make them go local, right? So, and just for everyone, just to make sure they know that NSAC is now the Dalhousie AC. It's part of Dalhousie University's the Truro campus for them. I took every humanities course at that college. Like everyone else was taking soil science, and, we had botany. But I was taking every humanities course. Like who goes to the AC and takes literary arts? Like, come on. But that's what I was thinking.
I did one there.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit of Emily Bronte there. I think you helped me out with a few of those. To be honest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say, I didn't even have a Hotmail account till meeting you guys. So I think going down to the computer lab there, there's always a few of us regulars there. I think the 3 of us. Carter was always there. And you see Todd Kennedy would cruise in every now and again, but there's a little bit more of a quieter presence. I'm not sure he affiliated with us as much. I don't know. He wanted to go about his business, his business a little quieter than us, right? But Carter was always around. Kelly Noss would have been there. I think I can picture her kind of sat up in front of us somewhere. But I think, trying to set up a Hotmail account, I remember being frustrated because I was like, I'm trying to get okay, Steve Grant at hotmail.com. No go, right? Steve ended up giving you the auto-populated Steve Grant 2079, whatever, right? I was like, no, not down with it, right? So I tried a bunch of different ones, and then finally I was like, you know what? Free lesson at hotmail.com. And accepted. I was like, are you kidding me? Anyhow, I've had it ever since, so I don't know if you can filter that out. I don't know if I want to get on. Actually, I get enough junk mail there anyway. It's not going to matter. But
yeah, free lesson at Hotmail because who nobody else was on that. This is Shooter McGavin, everybody, right? Here's a free lesson. Who doesn't know that line?
At the time, right? I mean, it was to me, I couldn't believe it was there. I had to stick, but I mean, it was once it was approved, I had to go from there. But that's it. And I think from that moment on, having that, I was addicted to the computer lab, man.
And the computer lab's so funny. I make fun of my kids now because they just watch YouTube videos of other people playing with their toys and stuff. And I'm like, why don't you just play with your toys instead of watching? But the computer was kind of, the computer labs for us was very new. We're sitting literally one computer away from each other, emailing each other and waiting to see it. Oh, it's here. We open it. And then we respond. Like, it was hilarious. And then we ended up, Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, and Ken Griffey Jr. were having their little home run race at the time. So we would have competitions at our own races to see who could get the most emails. And that's when I learned the trick of, like, we'd always log in. How many new did you get? How many new did you get? And I learned that you could pad your stats if you hit receive a receipt when someone else opens your email.
So you were juicing. You were juicing.
I was juicing.
And he was McGuire in Home Run Derby.
You'd send the email, and then you'd see the person would reply back. Plus, you'd get the email that notified you that they opened it. So I was like getting triple emails every time, triple in my count.
All this time, I was trying. I thought I was putting in a good effort, and just didn't understand why I kept coming up short.
This is what it is, Grant. I'll tell you what, boys. We're gonna have to navigate and walk the line here of what's amusing to us and what's not to other people, right? And I'm sorry, listeners, for this, but we just having such a great time. It's what it's all about. We do have to mention, though. You mentioned botany already, Josh. Dr. Olson, this guy, this teacher. What do you remember about this guy?
I mean,
well, should we just go back and forth and name one thing each and see what we get? Because there's the classics. I mean, the guy never worked on anything but biceps in the gym. He's just this guy. He's got the bow tie going. He's pretty, skinny. I mean, in good shape, but skinny and just, put together with the bow tie and the dress shirt. And then he'd reach to point the projector, and it's just like just these massive balls on his arms, like just huge, just ripped guns. And it's like,
absolutely.
Did not expect that at all.
No.
Right, as you mentioned,
there's not many people that are rocking the bow tie with a short sleeve dress shirt, right? I mean, that's
he would have the button shirt, short sleeves, right? And then he had the brown beard and the glasses and everything. And you just think, okay, this guy's a botany professor. And then he would just shoot out, and it would just be, we respect. Look at those guns.
He would have to go short sleeve. What kind of long sleeve could contain those things?
The Taylor bill would be unreal.
The which?
The Taylor bill. I mean, you'd have to get all those custom made. Yeah, fair enough. It wasn't his fault. Maybe it wasn't just a fashion play. But I mean, God love him. He wouldn't start without the team, though.
That was the funny. So just for people, again, just in general, right? We walking around with those Bearcats coats on all the time. We just love walking around town wearing that. And I don't want to make it out like we're delinquents or anything, right? But it happened all the time, big time, and then walking in late. But there was a day I remember we were late to class, and we walked in, and then that was his line. He's like, well, we can't start without the team. And then we were kind of and sat at the back there, flashing a gun at us.
Anyway, that was early on, but we didn't really know him. And we were like, oh my God, does he hate us now? Like, that seemed like a pointed comment. But when you got to know him, it was hilarious. Like, what a great guy.
Yeah, he really was. It's true.
All right, boys. So there's that. Well, another thing then, again, at the risk, but I don't think this is a risk of being something we're into and people shouldn't be. This is like a public service that we can do to introduce this game to people if we can portray it well enough. Home Run Derby is one of the best outdoor backyard games you could play. People pick up on this and teach your kids. They'll thank you for it. What was Home Run Derby about? Maybe Josh, Steve.
I mean, to this day, and I was actually lucky enough. I actually got the shirt on. It wasn't planned, but I was at the Cleveland All-Star game a couple of years ago for a work trip, and old Vladdy Jr. when he set a record for home runs, and he still didn't win. I mean, it was incredible to watch it. But I mean, Home Run Derby, I think to me has always been one of the greatest events, and maybe the love of it started in Truro. I don't know, banging a jelly ball over Sean and Jeff's house, but we certainly had our share of that.
Well, this is Josh. Why don't you describe the game, the backyard game, for people?
So I'm amazed that this happened. So they had a doghouse down at deep in the back of their property, and that became home plate. That was the home plate, and the pitcher would stand sort of towards the front of the backyard near the back deck, and they would pitch. And the rule was, we didn't have a catcher. The rule was if the ball hit the doghouse, it was a strike. And if it missed the doghouse, it was a ball. And then the other person would try and hit it. And if it went over the rail of the deck, it would be a home run. But we got so good at it, we actually started, and it's not like they had a short house. They didn't have a bungalow. They had a 3-story salt box house. And we were hitting those little white gelatin balls over every now and again. You'd really come onto one. It would go over the house and into the front lawn. And it would just be like, that's just like
Nothing felt better. You could score a goal at OT at Colchester Legion, and you'd feel like a home run over that house felt better than that.
I mean, anyone can hit one down the third baseline and just barely catch the wall, but to hit it right over that center field, just like over the whole house. But then as the pitcher, your dream was to catch the guy looking at the last strike. It was always the greatest feeling. The guy, it's three, he's on this third strike, and he holds off on your pitch, and you just wait to hear whether you hear that sound of the thud against the doghouse. And I remember the sinking feeling you get when you let the ball go by and just hear boom, and you're like, and then we'd switch because
switch up the other guy. And then, of course, we took on our characters. You mentioned Sammy Sosa and Ken Griffey and Mark McGuire. So I remember back in the thing, I would try to be Ken Griffey and back whatever, and he would be Mark McGuire. And then when you do hit a home run, you get to run the bases. That's part of what we allow the guy to do. And the pitcher has to just sit there and watch you go around. And you would do something characteristic of the guy, right? So I'd be like, after I hit it, I might pull like a little bit of a cocky bat flip and then just kind of trot around all cocky. And then if Josh would get one, Mark McGuire, he came around and doing one, and he would come home and then pick up his son, like when Mark McGuire broke the record and his son was out there. So Josh would go around and then come in and pick up his son and pick him up like that. And I'd watch the whole routine and be like, yeah, and then back at it, like home run again. So this game, I'll tell you, we had Ben's, he was a 3-year-old. He had like a little kid bat. So we had like a kid bat, one of those gelatin balls, and Gabby's doghouse. And it was just nothing better.
A lot of hand-eye involved, though, right? I mean, I think some of our greatest sporting moments might have been on that field, right? It's
That's how it is. Grant, now another thing, guys. Another one running right on the line here. But again, this is what we're here for. This is what I think of when I think of junior hockey. I can't help it. You talk about pizza perfection. We would also come home for lunch sometimes and pick up Larson chicken balls at the supermarket. And then we'd also want to be getting some sweet and sour sauce from the real Chinese shop to make sure that authenticize them. Is that a word? Authenticate them? I don't know, whatever. Make them authentic. It really brought them to life. So you guys tell us about that.
Well, I mean, some of the greatest moments, I think about Josh walking into, you and I, Matt, waiting in the car outside. He walked into that spot, which I don't think was very far from the college.
It wasn't. It was the King Lamb just down the road. The King Lamb.
Yeah. And anyhow, he'd go in and just like wait till he got out and just almost to the car and look in the bag. Fist pump before he gets in the car, right? Just so we knew it was the good stuff, right?
You were pulling the Jim Carrey Riddler fist pump or something, were you, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he would do that. Yes.
And it's something you guys might not know. Every time I went in there, it was a range of $1.75 to $3.75, but it was a different price every time I went in there. The same cup. It was within $1.50 or whatever it was each time, but it's like sometimes it was $2.25, sometimes it was $2.70. You didn't know. The same cup every time. And then
let me just ask the question though: Did it gradually get higher as they realized that we bought nothing else but sauce from them?
They're like, these guys need this thing. Hey, the demand's high. Like they're going to pay whatever.
And for anyone who knows that restaurant, you're talking about foreshadowing. I'm a carpenter now. I work construction. And back when we were there, they had the circle slots in the brick. And they had these little red inserts with some like Chinese language, pictures on it and graphics. And they would get rotten and then you'd have to paint them every time because they were made of wood. I actually was responsible for, they bought red metal and I'd have to cut the metal into the shape and fasten it to these things. And we did the whole vinyl at the bottom and the red. So if you ever go there, drive by the building and see the vinyl and the red metal strip at the top and those little inserts. I did that personally. And of course, I have a lot of happy memories of that place. So I was very happy to fix it up for them.
There you go, Grant. Full circle. Josh working on the King Lamb after all that. This is just, again, a little nitpicky, but it's just such a recollection. It's too funny. Do you recall that one day when we were like, we kind of thought, we're pushing Josh into we wanted to go get the sauce because we think it's so funny to see him go in, first of all, and order just sauce. That's just like amusing to us. Like, how does he do that? And like, isn't it embarrassing? But it's so, and then he comes out and checks the bag. And so it's almost like, he probably doesn't want to keep doing it. And one day we were like, we need this sauce. And what do you think? Will you go and do it, right?
Do
And
you know what the situation is? So you guys had an 8 o'clock in the morning exam once. It was exam time. You had an 8 a.m. exam. And I didn't have an exam that day. I had no reason to get out of bed or go to school or anything. I think we might have even been done hockey at that time, right? Like, and we were just waiting for school to finish before we went home. And so you guys wake me up. You're getting ready to go to or maybe it was the night before. I don't remember, but whatever. You're making a plan to go to your exam, and you're like, we want to get some chicken balls on the way home, but we don't want to get them without the sauce and Josh on. So you guys you're trying to convince me to go to school with you at 8 a.m. and sit through a 3-hour exam. Like I have no reason to be there. Also that I would spend the 5 minutes on the drive home to go in and get this sauce. And I agreed to it. And so I'm like, I remember vividly to this day what I said. I said,
I remember. Yeah.
I will do this. And you guys, your faces lit up and you're like, oh, okay. On one condition, I said. And you're like, what is it? You're looking at if we rent a copy of Teen Wolf on the way home. I don't know why I picked that.
We did. I was remember waiting anxiously, like going, I will do this. And I was almost like laughing. It's weird. Like, I can't believe he's considered like, okay, what? And then if we read a copy of Teen Wolf and we said, okay, I think I recall it wasn't in when we tried to rent it and we got, we got another one. But anyway, man, that
Teen Wolf 2, that was miserable. But nothing against Bateman. I do like him, but
yeah,
you can't get Teen Wolf anywhere. I tried to buy the movie. I had to buy a combo pack of Teen Wolf and then Teen Wolf 2. I'd never seen 2. I really refused to. One day, finally, not that long ago, within the last 10 years, I sucked it up, put it on. I'll never get that time back. Worst movie ever. But it's still Teen Wolf original is one of the greatest movies of all time. Hands down. Like, just
Fair enough. All right then, guys. What about this Josh with the Cobain hair? You mentioned that. What's that, Grant?
Oh, well, I mean, I just think about the musical influences there. That I think of 2 bands, right? I think of Oasis and Nirvana when it comes to Josh musical flavor up there for sure. Mm-hmm. So, and the Beatles, of course. Mm-hmm. From playing I always knew the Beatles music, but I didn't know the after portions of certain songs, or if you played something backwards. I mean, you knew all the intricacies of all those songs for sure. But I think about that book that you had, and you emulated that face there.
You don't know how hard I tried to find that book for this podcast to hold the picture up.
I was really hoping that you did.
It's a picture of Kurt Cobain. For those that don't know, he had the goatee, and I had the goatee, and it's kind of the same color. And he's just making the space like he's just like
that.
Yeah.
And I remember I just, for whatever reason, I had the blonde hair going like Kurt did, and I had the goatee just like at the right amount of stubble, and I held the picture of the book up beside my face and made the exact same facial expression. He almost died. Like it's a twin. Mm-hmm. Like, it was so funny.
Yeah, I thought that one too. Like, I got the Cobain hair and it's everything, but it's a little mix of a Farley hair as well. You just showed the photo there, Grant. Don't you think so? It was like he had that thing going on.
Well, I was living in a van down by the river at the time.
So Steve, another thing we can't really go out without mentioning, if we're mentioning all this stuff and who we rolled with at the AC, we got Tim Kennedy, who was also, for listeners, was the growler, the mascot. He was the man inside. But we hung out with him a lot as well. And do you remember anything about that?
I remember that he had access to an unlimited supply of Mr. Noodles.
Okay.
It was incredible. I don't know. I think his father might have worked with something to do with that company, but I remember like you had first access to any of the new flavors that were coming out. I don't know if it was some new spicy chicken flavor that came out. I think we might have been on the tasting panel at the AC one day. I don't know, but
wow.
I remember being in the residence over there and seeing a big stash of those for sure. But what a great guy he was. Mm-hmm. So many characters in around there, right?
Yeah.
I spent so much time at Fraser House, and he lived alone in his room, but it had 2 beds. I spent so much time there. We convinced people at school that I was his roommate and that I lived there with him. We hung up there all the time. I think we even hung a couple posters on my side of the room and stuff just to make sure. But whatever. Like, just a great character.
And there it is, guys. And today, just for people, I mean, we have a group chat on Messenger with the four of us. It's been going on for years. I haven't seen Steve Grant's face until this morning in years, except just on whatever pictures of Facebook, whatever, but not live, not on a chat. But we've had this Messenger chat going for years where we just basically try to make each other laugh every time everything we put out on it, right? And that's just what it is. Imagine this was forged back in the days of playing junior hockey in Truro. I mean, this is how it happens.
Yeah, I mean, about 22 years ago now.
Yeah.
Good Lord, don't say that.
All right, well.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, throwing it out there. Back to the Bearcats anyway, guys. Steve, you sent us along these program pictures that we had. And all the boys, anybody listening in this, everybody, players and anybody involved with the team, people coming to the games remember these programs. And it's very curious looking back on them, just the kind of questions that they asked. So they would come at the start of the season during I guess after training camp, once you make the team, and then early practice, and then pull you over. You take a few minutes and have a quick interview with the person who's going to make out these programs for the profiles. So fans would come to the game, open the program, and get a player profiles. And we've got a few that you share with us. And I hadn't seen this one in many years. I don't have any program here with me, so I thought it was kind of fun. And we were just also, as we do, just making fun of stuff. It's quite amusing, some of the stuff in here. So anything stand out to you guys looking at these?
I mean, some of the stuff probably still holds true. I mean, I think I had Seinfeld for my favorite TV show.
Yeah.
I still stand by that. Still a big fan of those reruns.
You're right.
I think I had Adam Sandler. I'm trying to find it here now. I think Adam Sandler is which probably held. I mean, at the time, like I said, Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison. I mean, that was his years, right? I mean, those were some of his best work. I mean, he's got some questionable ones out there now, but at the time,
that was the heyday.
We're coming off the heyday of Saturday Night Live at that time, and those guys are just out making movies and everything. They were awesome.
Yeah, I mean, pizza. I still like pizza. There's no doubt about that. The Tragically Hip, still a great band. I don't know if they're my favorite at the moment, but at the time, I mean, certainly a very safe choice to put those in.
Graham, my wife, I showed her this morning. I said, check this out. And she was looking through. She's like, well, looking at your golf and fishing and all that and other stuff and Seinfeld. She said, well, he's got a better lifestyle and taste than you guys, except hockey team. And she said, except hockey team. I was like, all right.
I've never met her, but I really like her.
There you go. I mean, that's her attitude. Then that's right.
Now, I find it funny, first of all, that my favorite team is New York Rangers because I've always been an Oilers fan, but we talked about Wayne Gretzky and how you just follow him and you're a fan of him and you sort of merge with those teams. And we had Mess win the Stanley Cup in '94 with the Rangers. And so I'm sure that is kind of accurate at the time. And I used to pick them when I played video games too, like for NHL video games.
And you, Josh, you also would just kind of have obscure teams all the time. Like you'd like the Rangers for a bit, then you'd like the Blues for a bit, and not even just Gretzky, but just sometime you'd like the Blues for a while or something, and Dallas or something. But you always underneath were the Oil, but you hadn't a lot of team like that. So I can see you saying the Rangers.
So you're more faithful to the player than the team necessarily, right? So might I say, because I think you're a Pats fan, right? So then would you have been a Brady fan and then also happy now that Tampa won, or?
I have to say I was not upset that he won the seventh Super Bowl. I'm not unhappy about that at all. I would have been. It's just funny. Like you have a young quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. He's coming on. They're talking about him after he lost and still saying, well, now he has to win 8 Super Bowls to be better than Brady. But they're saying, it's possible. That's how good he is. And he's looking for being a repeat Super Bowl champion at such a young age. And no one is even talking about it because Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl again. Like, how does that story just get swept under the rug because of this? And then doesn't he go and win it? Who just picks a random team and says, hey, guys, I'm done over there. Do you guys want to go win the Super Bowl with me? Okay, let's go. Like, just unreal.
Well, I think it's what Grant tried to do with the Bearcats, didn't you? Come in?
Yeah.
The promised land.
Epic fail.
So,
and it does say, keep it off the program, but my chicken is my favorite food, it says. And I do
Yes.
love chicken. I still love it. We just had a whole chicken tonight for supper. But I loved it so much. You guys used to make fun of me because everyone's picking spaghetti and pizza and all those classics, and I'm like chicken. So I got ribbed for that a lot. It was one
I
of
just
the
thought
things
it
I
looked
got
funny on the page, Josh. It just looks funny on the page. What's your favorite food? Chicken. Like it's just.
So I decided to. I stole it as my identity. I was writing it on the top of my sticks instead of my name. Number
Yep.
11, chicken.
Yeah.
Give me a stick.
KFC,
And
you would put.
Chicken, KFC, anything. Like just forms of chicken. But
Yep.
the best part of anything that had to do with those programs, I can't see those pieces of paper right now. But does yours say favorite food McDonald's?
That's
if I'm
right.
not mistaken. Because the best thing that ever happened, Mr. Big Wheel, 14 Boulton, we go to McDonald's after the game once. I don't know if you remember this. We stroll into McDonald's, and what do you do? Do you remember this?
Well, what happened, this is a lesson, people, in honesty, right? Because the first year I said lasagna, which is honest. Ultimately, I still say lasagna because I can't help it. But that day I was just like, it is true. Like if I really just have it sitting in front of McDonald's, like it's my favorite food. I love McDonald's. And
Like, what kind of athlete? What he's saying is dare to be yourself. Because what kind of athlete promotes that he eats fast food and loves it more than anything else on a program,
So on that one, Josh, the thing is really, I say it's a lesson in honesty. You put it down. We had one of those skate with the Bearcat nights. Do you guys remember those? So, so what would happen is they would put out, a notice that on this Saturday night's game, fans can bring their skates, obviously mostly a lot of young kids and stuff. And then after the game, we go off and take off, whatever, take a moment, take off your upper gear, maybe come back out with the jersey on or whatever. And you skate around with some of the kids and people who want to hang out for a while. Right. So it's one of those events. By the way, I do want to, just as an aside with the jerseys, this is just something that's out of everywhere. What is it with hockey players always wearing the jerseys everywhere? Like, you ever see this? No other sport does this. I always feel like we're like fourth rung in the professional sports. Like Crosby goes and you never see like the Penguins deliver these season tickets and he's wearing like an 87 Crosby jersey when he shows up at their house. It's like people are looking at the back. Oh, wait a minute now. Oh, it's Sid. I see. He's got the jersey. It's like Michael Jordan doesn't show up to a signing event with a Jordan jersey on. Like, you know what I mean? But it seems hockey players always the parade and everything. That like, do they always do that? And other sports don't do that, do they? Anyway.
I don't know. That's an interesting thought, though. We'll take that one away. Give it.
Except for the commercials, when like say a baseball player is going to rent a car, but he's in full kit with the cleats on and everything. Like, why does he got to do that?
Yeah. All right. I'm just trying to stand up for hockey. Now, of course, in this case, I don't mean it at all. Of course, we're going back out with our jerseys. We're skating around on the ice and everything, right? But I just mean in these other kind of events of the pros, right? But anyway, that's a little bit of a beef. But now what happened at the skate with the Bearcats were going around and some guy's hanging over the glass. And he's like, when I'm skating around, he goes, Matt. And I said, and stop over and talk to a guy who wants to talk to me. And he says he's the manager or the owner of the franchisee or whatever of the Truro McDonald's at the time, something like that. And then he's like, I see you like McDonald's. I was like, oh yeah, I like McDonald's. And he gave me a bunch of coupons, like, not just like get a little bit. It was like free Big Macs and stuff like that kind of thing. So yeah, so we did go sometimes to the McDonald's. And you have another recollection though. I've actually going in. Is it Josh? Yeah, that's what happened though. I was like, a good giddy up. I'll go in. It's like, good thing I put that. Lasagna's not getting me any coupons.
We went in once, and there was some young kid that came up to ring us in, and this man steps over, shoves him out of the way, and goes, "I got this." And we started ordering, and we don't know what's going on. We're just like, okay, whatever. So we started ordering on the house. You're here with Matty B. He likes McDonald's. He's giving us that free advertising. Matt the Hitman Boulton and his leading scorer of this division. You guys eat here for free tonight. I got this. He shoved the kid out of the way, rang it in, took care of the whole thing. 20 pack of nuggets. Boom.
It was that guy, and I don't recall his name or anything, but I can certainly picture his face right now. And it's not something he did. He did that one time, by the way. It was just I think because the first time I came in. But that was definitely.
We'll have to find his name to give him an honorable mention here, right? Looking after Matty McBoulton up there, right?
That's it. Yeah, I don't have too much more else on this, guys. Grant, I'm looking through your one, noticing in St. John's Maple Leafs 97-98, the PIMs stand out to me. 108 PIMs in 38 games. That's like 1.5 minors per game. What's going on there?
Again, there's a lot of blown calls, right? It's
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You got hosed a lot that year, did you?
No, I played with a little bit of an edge, we'll say, right? It's
Yes. Nothing wrong with that.
maybe some cross checks in front of the net. I don't know. I mean, hard to say.
Mhm.
Memory's foggy after all these years.
Yeah. I was scanning this thing, Grant. I really had nothing really to pick at yet. Like, it was all pretty solid, right? That's like my wife recognized, but the pins jumped out a little to me. So there we go.
More of a Lady Bing guy, you thought, right?
Well, I might have thought just your character out off the ice, right? But we knew better after we saw. Yeah, so I guess that's pretty much that on that. Listeners, you boys who are listening to this, if you remember anything that you had on your program or any of your buddies there you want to call out, you can get in the comments section and let us know. I'm sure Grant and me, Josh, all love to hear it. Everybody would like to hear about it. What still stands on your thing, and what just didn't hold up the test of time or is worth making fun of the other guy for. I'll tell you a couple things on this one though too, Josh. This 5'8", I think that's a little hopeful, isn't it?
It's generous.
Yeah.
It's generous.
Okay. 6'2", 200 though, Grant. That's pretty good, man.
Yeah, still holding around there actually.
Boy.
Been a battle, right? Trying to keep it down.
Yeah. Well, you're looking good, man. Looking healthy and great. So
Yeah,
I
think
call
in
it
those
when I'm
days,
still at my playing weight. That's what I call it.
absolutely. I think I had to work up to 200 in those days, and now it's trying to keep it down to 200.
Yeah.
Although I don't recall that we frequented the NSAC gym that much that year. I don't know. I mean, maybe you guys did, but
Well, we could have gone anytime. We had full access. So you just knew it was there, we didn't take advantage.
yeah. Well, we were playing a lot of derby and some other sports, so I'm sure we kept our conditioning up.
Right. Multi-sport athletes.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, boys, I'll tell you what. Everybody, we've tried to get something out of other guests. What's going on with the bus? The bus is always fun, and every team and every sport has their bus stories and how they pass the time. For us, there was one particular game that some other guys are going to remember listening here, and Josh was the host of it. Josh, why don't you tell us what this game was? How was it born? And it was so popular on that bus.
I would take literally hours to come up with, because we remember movie quotes and characters and stuff. We just have a knack for doing that. Me and Matt especially, and Steve, it's unbelievable. It's a kindred spirit, right? Like most people think, oh, that's such useless. How do you remember that useless stuff? But Steve is right there up with the grand masters of the game. So I remember making sort of a Jeopardy format. I made a game. I don't remember the original game anymore, but it was just regular categories. And there's 5 questions per category, and we'd have like a trivia game, and you'd have to answer in the form of a question. But the questions were always, movie related or some sort of pop culture related or whatever. And in that game, one of the categories I came up with was called, and I'm going to say this one, sorry listeners, but the category was, who's that fucking guy? And the clue you'd have to answer, and it would always be a person, but the clues were I was very proud of that category, I gotta say. And everyone loved it so much. Everything I dreamed of happened from everyone loved it so much that I just decided to make the whole game. So now we have 5 categories. The whole game is just called Who's That Effing Guy? And all of the categories are all of these clues, just boom, one after the other. So the game was bred within another game. It was a category, and then it just took on a life of its own. And now we have the game we know today and still play. Haven't tweaked it once in 22 years.
It's yeah. And let me let's just highlight again, folks. This is Josh. We wake him up at 8 a.m. to go get the chicken ball sauce because it amuses us to come in and sit there, and he agrees to come. And then he takes hours preparing a game to make up questions that he can be a trivia host on the bus for all the boys, right? That is laboring for the comedy, right? It's like putting it in.
Ultimate team guy, right? That's why he gets a letter.
Yeah, that's right.
Nobody even cares if you get the question right. Sometimes they didn't even answer. You just laugh at the clue, and then somebody would just say a token answer. And you don't care if you get the points because it's whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter.
Right.
It's all about the questions.
But the preparation for sure. I mean, it was. I always appreciated the time and dedication you put into the game.
And
Right.
we still, to this day, do those. That's part of our messenger chat. Is you just throw out a clue and everyone answers.
And it's just rewarding, basically, when you craft a question the way that's just, oh, I love how that sounds. You put it out for the boys and they just laugh. Like you don't even have to answer, or they'll just answer right away and it's know that everybody got it. That's the most rewarding thing. Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, people are like, okay, I kind of get it. Sounds like you had fun. Well, I think we ought to give them a taste. This would be unprecedented in podcasting, I'm sure, but we are going to play a round of Who's That Effing Guy? All right. So Josh, you're the host. Take us off. Me and Steve, I mean, we got to prepare our buzzers. Do you have a buzzer there, Steve? You can take your time getting it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't come up with anything. I thought I had. I couldn't find all the board games there. The best thing I could find was Scattergories, and that timer takes like a minute for the buzzer to go off, so that wouldn't work.
That would not work. But what do we do on the bus? We were just kind of making sound or hit the thing. So you just buzz in
tap in or something, right?
Yeah.
You just.
Well, I've got my taboo buzzer. Okay,
Unreal.
from the taboo game. So I will buzz in. And basically, Josh, you set up the rules of the game very briefly and then get us going.
The rules of the game. So the first round, I have 3 categories, and there's 3 questions each. There's $100 questions, $200 and $300 in each. So there's 3 questions for 3 categories. The categories are gumshoes, best friends, and athletes. Mm-hmm. So who would like to start?
Well, you mean the categories? Oh, yes. Go ahead, Grant. You could choose a category.
I'll go with gumshoes for 100.
Gumshoes for 100 is the answer is wears dangerously short shorts and has long mustache.
I don't need that second part. Who is Magnum PI?
That is correct.
Man, you got in on that one early.
Well, I heard the short shorts. He is not asking me questions before.
John Stockton?
Okay. All right. I guess I'm. So that means I have the board now. I guess I'll do.
You're on the board.
Gumshoes 200 then. If you didn't, I don't know how many. I don't know what value is doing.
200. Mm-hmm. The answer is Swedish penis enlargers are his bag, baby.
Who is Austin Powers?
That is correct.
All right, keep it rolling, Grant.
I suppose I should keep some sort of score here. Okay.
Score is irrelevant. You already said. Well,
okay, carry on.
We'll take 300, same category.
300. If he'd been drinking out of the toilet, he might have been killed.
Who is Ace Ventura?
That is correct for 300 points. That concludes the category gumshoes.
I might have been killed.
Wow. We are now best friends or athletes.
All right, best friends for 6,000 or whatever.
Okay. Claims he didn't have a Coke. Yes.
Who is? Oh dear. I was gonna say now Frank Stiller. Is it Frank Stiller said that, or Frank Costanza?
I believe it is.
Oh God, because I know it was Jerry's dad.
Ooh.
He said he didn't have a Coke. I thought he was almost talking. He was talking to his wife later about him. I was hoping for a second.
Exactly.
Was he talking to Frank? So it wouldn't have been Frank. No. This is Seinfeld in Florida at that crazy minimum security prison they keep the old people in. All right.
Del Boca Vista.
Yeah, there's an extra point for Grant. Del Boca Vista.
Done.
All right, keep it up with best friends for whatever.
For 100, it is very bad to steal his rum.
Who is Joe Boo?
That is correct. From
Major League,
the greatest
people.
Sports movie of all time, Major League.
Oh man,
It is very bad.
I love the time you put into these. Again, it's you didn't mail it in like it's.
No. I tried to pick some good ones here. I want the reaction.
All right, let's stick in the category. Give us what you got in the category.
Best friends for 200. He was trying to be in the video. Yes, Steve?
Who is Ty?
Ty is 100% correct.
People,
Oh, no.
it was Ty.
It was Ty.
Was it Ty? Okay.
Yeah. Will had said this
Right.
is Fresh Prince,
He was trying to
everybody.
get to his room. Right.
Yes.
I had a panic moment
what
there
was-
for a second.
Me too. I know the panic moment. He said exact to you, Grant. He said, I was trying to get to my room. Ty, what was you doing? And he said, I was trying to be in the video.
I was trying to be in the video.
Yeah. This is a Fresh Prince, everybody. Come on. I hope people, listeners, are keeping up. Anybody feel like they were buzzing quicker than us? Let us know if you feel you did.
You have to
Fresh
remember,
Prince.
I made this game in 1998, so the answers have to be relevant.
We
But-
keep
okay.
we keep it in the. This is how when we were
Yeah.
right.
Okay, carry on. So that
All
ends
right.
the best friends category. We're into athletes. He's just easing the tension, baby.
Who is Chubbs Peterson?
Absolutely correct. The last name too. Unbelievable. Bonus points. Bonus
Yeah.
And
I did not have.
Happy Gilmore would prefer it if he eased it somewhere else.
points. That is. Hey, look. Boom. More. Okay. Okay. Yes.
Grant's picking up
Right.
bonus points, man. Holy crap. Anyway, Chubbs
All
Peterson,
right.
Happy Gilmore. Easing the tension,
Let's go.
baby. All right, keep it going.
Let's go 200.
For 200, in his spare time, enjoys starring in plays and surfing on vans.
Who is Teen Wolf?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, he's surfing on vans, doing handstands on them as well. I mean,
For 300, this athlete doesn't have to do any calisthenics he doesn't feel are necessary.
Who is Roger Dorn?
Yes.
Roger Dorn and Major League people. He that's in his contract, and then of course Lou will show him what he thinks of that contract, relieving himself on it. I'll tell you what, I love the idea of a last round, but why don't we make it a speed round? We're not going to call the thing. You just put out the question, we'll answer, and you put it out again because I just want to hear all the questions. I have to hear them.
Great.
Okay. Well, the categories are it's all relative.
Okay.
So these are relations of people, and not all heroes wear capes.
Okay.
So we'll just go it's all relative. Claims the shitter's full.
What's the category?
It's
Oh,
all
Grant.
relative.
Okay, grow Grant.
It's Cousin Eddie.
That's Cousin Eddie, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
This one I'm a little worried about, but it stands up to me. I've always loved this line. Needs to go easy on the Pepsi.
Grant, you were there. I saw it go up.
Who is Fuller?
Yes, thank you. Oh, good.
I had it.
You get
Who is
that,
Fuller?
okay.
Home Alone.
And that's Home Alone for sure. Now he drinks Coke in Home Alone too.
Interesting.
Oh.
Switch sponsors.
They switch. It's so funny. So thinks foosball is the devil. Yes.
Who is Mama?
Yeah. See, you couldn't have said that better. The delivery of that answer.
When I have to claim.
From the Water Boy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see what Mama has to say.
Wow.
So
Adam Sandler.
not all heroes wear capes. We have
Okay.
controls the mail and therefore controls information. Didn't even need the question finished yet.
He controls the mail. It's Newman. Who is Newman?
Newman. Yes, 100%.
From Seinfeld. He controls the mail. He controls information.
Smiling is his favorite.
Who is Buddy the Elf?
That is correct, buddy.
I would have failed. Nice,
And then
Grant.
the final question of not all heroes wear capes. Only man who would dare use raspberry.
Go ahead, Grant. Do you have it? Yeah.
Who is Lone Star?
Spaceballs, everybody.
Baseball's greatest movie. Okay, so we have a final question. You do have 30 seconds to think about it if you like.
Okay, and I'll just cut it out on the edit here. 30 seconds of waiting. This is what you're getting on Boulton from Boulton, people.
The question is, thinks he has the black lung, Pop.
Thinks he has the black
the black lung, Pop. I think I have the black lung, Pop.
Oh, the black lung. Okay, I think I have the black lung, Pop. All right. Well, people, I need the Jeopardy music to be playing. I'm trying to talk over it as listeners might have this. Too bad we weren't live. You could call in and tell if you have the answer. Now,
I'm a little nervous about this one because it's a little more recent, but it's not that recent.
Now, is there a category that gives us a hint, or is there any kind of hint now? You got to move on to hints.
Male models is the category.
Okay, I think I know the movie, but I'm not sure if I know the character.
Okay, so is this going to be Zoolander then?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
It is Zoolander.
Well then, so
Who is Derek Zoolander?
Yes. Who is Derek Zoolander? That is correct.
Derek Zoolander is it? This is probably in a flashback or something, is he? Or when is this?
Gotta be honest, that's not one of my strong movies.
I didn't think, I was nervous about this. He lost all his friends in a freak gasoline fight incident. You know,
Yes.
As happens to people.
Yeah.
Very common.
He's in competition with Hansel, who's so hot right now, the other model. And so he goes home to his roots. He gets something happens. He's not sure about modeling anymore. He goes home, works with his dad in the coal mines, spends about 2 hours down there, and develops a cough. Choo, choo. What's the matter? I think I got the black lung, Pop. He's been there for like 20 minutes, whatever.
Right. Well, Grant, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take an assist on that one, but you definitely brought it home. Josh, I don't know, you tallied it up there. I think a winner's clear. This one.
Well, with all the bonus points, he squeaked ahead for sure with the additional commentary.
Steve Grant, Boulton from Boulton. Who's that effing guy? You're the winner. Go ahead, Josh.
I just had so many questions I didn't use that would be funny for us that I wasn't sure that they were, the listeners might not get the references, but.
Well, perhaps we'll catch up for a private round and a beer sometime.
I do feel I have to bring up, now that Saved by the Bell is hot again. How
Is it?
There's a remake and all that, and of course somehow the same students end up at the school as adults. They somehow work there, or I haven't seen the show, but it's Zach and whatever. So I did make a category back then. The category was AC Slater, where every answer was AC Slater.
That was one of our favorite categories.
That was the best category I think that I ever made.
And of course,
refers to his girlfriend as Mama.
Who is AC Slater?
Yeah, wears acid wash jeans, etc.
Purple tank tops.
And it was all fun because that just shows you the whole idea of the game is to just put out those lines. That's the end of it, really. It's not about getting the answer. I mean, sometimes it is about it's rewarding to get the answer right, but most of the time it's just obvious. This, guys, as we said, for people, like, we're still on a group chat. And as I said, I haven't seen Grant's face in years, but yet we've been sending these out over years, constantly, sending out Who's That Effing Guys with Tim Kennedy. Anyway, so that is some crazy stuff. And Josh and I still do, like, sometimes I remember on Josh's birthday, I took some time to prepare a whole thing and sent him like a birthday edition of Who's That Effing Guy, because it would just be something fun for him to do on his birthday or answer me back, and a way to communicate like many years ago on an email or something, right? So I thought that, that kind of stuff. Man, that game was so popular on the bus, though, and the people were in the back, and they'd be like, "Okay, Josh prepared another Who's That Effing Guy? We're going up to Dartmouth, or we're Amherst," and just playing that on the bus. Can you imagine? So bus junior hockey bus. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, do you remember anything else about the bus, Grant? Anything that stands out to you besides Subway?
God. Yeah, Subway, right?
Besides Subway.
I tell you, I'm not sure if I ate Subway for very much after that year. I don't know. Used to be a big fan leading in.
Subway has come up a couple times. We have to explain to the listeners, we did not eat the subs on the way to the game. We would eat them soggy on the way home from the game. I feel that's important to spell out to the listeners.
And nothing against Subway, because I do enjoy Subway, but the presentation of the Subway in that manner was not ideal.
Here you go. So Grant, again, we've been having a lot of fun, but back to the, we did play hockey, and I just wonder if you had, if you remember anything about the actual hockey.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh,
who did you play with?
Jeez, I don't know. I mean, I played with a few different people, and for me, I ended up down. I played some junior B as well. So Growler signed me to a junior B card to make room for someone else. It was not exactly as it was planned, but anyhow, I think I did a solid for the team so we could bring someone else in. But anyhow, so I was up and down a little bit. But I tell you, I do remember one night. I think Mom and Dad came up for this weekend, and it was on a bit of a stretch. And I think it was I think you were all competitive. You want to have some time. And it was not a bad stretch there. I remember being in Amherst. Actually, you mentioned Amherst there. That's why it kind of clicked in my memory. And I remember Mom and Dad were up for the game. And I wasn't getting a whole lot of playing time. And I remember going out there and I lined up for a face-off in like the corner. And it was like where the canteen was. And like Mom was there. She just got a coffee or a drink and she turned around. And like there was a guy, and I don't know who he was. I'm trying to think of the guy's name, but anyhow, and he's like, "You want to go?" I was just rotted. I was like, "Sure." And I remember like at the corner of my eye, I see like Mom, and she's like almost like drops her coffee. And me and this guy are like going at it a little bit. And he was a lefty, and he filled me with a couple to start. I hadn't fought a lefty before. That wasn't great, but I battled my way back, and I think I had his jersey ripped in half by the end of it. But I remember like going in, and like Donzie was all pumped up, being like, "Geez, what happened to you there?" I was like, I don't know. He asked me to go and I just did, right? It was like, he's like, man, he must have really pissed you off or something, right? I was like, oh, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, right. So maybe I needed something to work myself up. Yeah. Pissed off for sure.
Yeah, but our poor old Mom there, right? Like just like, well, see my son for the weekend. And all right, it's great.
Yeah. What did she think about that after? Was she kind of like, why did you do that? I don't know.
Yeah,
I hope your mom doesn't sound like that, but
no. She was all right. But interesting story about Mom though too. We went to. Hopefully, she won't kill me for bringing this one up. But anyhow, a proud Newfoundlander will say. We went to Smitty's for breakfast. I don't know if it was on the same trip anyway. Mm-hmm. And we were in there, and they were selling these items. They were called Newfie two-holers. So,
yes.
Have you ever seen these?
So someone had one in the dressing room in their stall. Yeah. I remember seeing them. Yeah. So
it was an outhouse, and it was a double-decker outhouse, right? So, I mean, obviously, if you're on the top layer, the person below is going to find themselves in trouble, right? And, I mean, Mom went up, and I mean, we were paying for the meal. And when she saw that, I mean, her face just, Mom is easy going, do anything in the world, but that just turned her, right? I remember, like, caused a big scene. I was like, I got to live here and play here, right? They're here for the weekend. Like, I'm probably going to see these people, right? But, hey, God love her.
No,
yes, if any of the boys are listening, who had that in the dressing room?
I know.
Because that's where I saw it, in our room. You got to tell me.
So I think it was a bit of a joke after that. Because I think, actually, you know what? I think Dean Burton's dad bought it for Mom after, and I think I ended up maybe taking it. I don't know. Maybe that's what happened.
Okay.
I think he bought it as a joke, right? But, oh, man.
Oh, I didn't expect that. When you said, I hope Mom doesn't kill me, I think that's a great story. Respect to Mom.
Yeah.
Stand up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? Don't let people get away with that crap.
Mom's got your back.
There you go. So how about this? One thing I wanted to mention too, Grant, is about, our father passed away in September 2019, and we heard from a lot of people and that stuff. Really, I've tried to say in different moments where I've got the opportunity to tell people that it really does make a difference just hearing anything from anybody. All the little messages, even you just see a name and you go, wow, there's that person. And then at the funeral and the event before that, when people come, then just seeing faces and stuff was crazy. And of course, other friends sent in and did stuff, but we again hadn't really heard from you except for our chat. Hadn't seen you in years, and you came in with the, hey, look, if I can send you some beer, then just give me an address. And I'd been, obviously home with my wife, and we very much appreciate you sending us over some cases of beer. That kind of gesture really makes a difference. So I just one more time, thanks very much for that. And I just want to also say it out loud to publicly kind of highlight the idea that this is where these relationships are about. All this joking stuff we're talking about. This is what I remember about junior hockey. I remember chicken balls and sweet and sour sauce and Teen Wolf and, this kind of stuff. And that's what it amounts to in later years. These are friends for life. So That was a great example of that.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, I didn't know your dad well, but I mean, I certainly knew a lot of the stories. I mean, through you guys. I mean, obviously he lives on, right? And and I listened to a bit of that. I didn't get all the way through it yet, but I mean, for you guys in Turin, I mean, that I mean, I spent a good portion of a day there the other weekend and listened to that, and it's funny. I mean, a lot of that rings true. I mean, obviously he was pretty dedicated. He was really, into the hard work and made sure that you guys were on board with that, right? And I think that's for, I think about a lot of that with my father too, right? I mean, you said that he went to all the games and practices unless there was something that he couldn't, right? And my dad was the same way. And for him in his career when he played, I mean, when he went to camp, he always said, I may not be the best player there, but I'm going to be in the best shape, right? I mean, he made sure he put in the time and did all that, right? And I think, for me, I mean, I wasn't blessed with a whole lot of talent, like, I'll steal Carter's line. I think I had a great first pass, right? But it was you put in the work and you worked hard, right? I mean, if I was going in, I was in my mind, I was getting that puck or whatever, and that's stuff that gets instilled on you. And I mean, to hear that, like I said, I didn't know your dad well, but I mean, I felt like I did. I mean, just through you guys and the stories. I mean, he sounded like an absolute beauty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, I appreciate that. And
thank you. Yeah.
You got anything else, Grant, that you remember about hockey, the team?
Well, I think I remember getting really introduced to tequila at a rookie party there for sure. I mean, I won't go into all the details of it, but I know I think about Derek Field, and he was pretty quick, right? I mean, I had to go against him. I referenced earlier we lost to them in the Air Canada Cup regionals, but he was a pretty fast skater. I was not blessed with being that fast of a skater, but I will say that. At the rookie party, I got my revenge. There was a certain race that it's the first time that I beat Derek Field in a foot race, and I'm not sure how much he enjoyed the result, but I'll leave that for him if he ever ends up as a guest on your show.
All right, Field, we'll want to hear about it. Well, if Josh was juicing for home run or the hot mail race, well, you were juicing somebody else, I guess, getting an advantage, were you? Anyway,
I wasn't losing that one.
Yeah, attaboy.
I'm a cheater.
Competitive, see?
Yeah, right, exactly.
I didn't cheat. Straight up won.
No. Rookie parties, man. Is there anything that's we're allowed to talk about those things that are okay for today's world?
Not sure.
Okay.
We were talking with Framer. Did you have to go somewhere in a dress? We were talking with Framer about that.
Yeah. No, yes, there was a portion of that. Yes, that wasn't the worst.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the first year for those guys wearing the dress at the Junior B King and in the mall.
But I remember like being on the bus and you had like guys like Russell and that they were talking about what they were potentially going to do to you. And I remember being like, okay, that's intimidating. I can't say no to that guy, right?
Yeah, right. So now we mentioned you sent us the beer. You are a Molson rep. How long have you been a rep for Molson?
Geez, I've been with Molson now for almost 14 years. So 10 as a rep, and like the last 3, almost 4 years, I've actually been the sales manager for the province here now. So I look after a team here in Newfoundland. So yeah, I mean, it's been a good 14 years. How it's hard to say it out loud. It's a long time, right? When you think about it at one place, but it's funny. I mean, following father's footsteps, like dad, when he retired from playing hockey, when he moved back home, he ended up working with Molson for a number of years. Now he retired, I think it was 2004 or 5. And I guess, or maybe earlier, 2004 maybe. And I started here in 2007. And I mean, I remember, growing up, I mean, that would have been, my ideal job when I was like 19, like getting out of high school, going to university. It's like, yeah, I want to be a beer guy, right? Mm-hmm. Time passes, and next thing you know, I'm living in Nova Scotia, working in insurance. A little bit different, right?
So how did you get into that then?
Your dad gave us a big brown leather bag with Molson Canadian logo on it.
Oh yeah.
And for years, that was my suitcase when I would go anywhere. That was my overnight bag for years and years, like very recently.
Yeah. Wow. Eh?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, how did you get into Molson then? If you said you were selling insurance and then you said, okay, well,
I just ended up. Yeah, I ended up moving home because I started in the industry with some friends of mine. Their family had a business, and I was working in sales, and not necessarily something that was long term. It was like my first job out of university. And they're like, would you ever be interested in insurance? And it's one of those things. I don't think anyone goes through life saying, I want to be an insurance salesman or like that. I was like, well, I don't know. I'll give it a shot, right? Like just up for a new challenge, and then going up to Nova Scotia and working there. And, I loved it. I mean, I probably could have stayed in Halifax, to be honest, but I kind of made the commitment to come home. And I had the offer to stay in Halifax if I wanted to, but, hey, I mean, life works out the way it does. And, I came home, I spent about a year and a half there, and I ended up going downtown. And obviously I knew a lot of the people through Molson just because Dad had worked there, and just happened to be out there in a few beers. And they're like, we got a job open. Would you be interested? And I was 27 at the time, I guess. And I was like, I was 19 or 20, like early 20s. I would have been all over that. And, now I was like, I feel like I'm kind of settled into something else, and, I'm all good. And they're like, well, why don't you come in for the interview and we'll see what happens. Well, okay. Anyhow, the rest is history, right? So.
Very good. Yeah. I always want to hear what guys are doing. And like, he's doing this and that, and everybody's always doing so well. Like people are just successful. And I think, everybody knows that sports translate into real life. So. And Grant, so you're a family man. I'm just a little curious, how did you meet Eve, and had she seen your program photo before you were married?
Oh God, she obviously has not seen that photo. Probably won't until, and she still hasn't, and won't until she, I guess, if she chooses to watch this as it airs. But yeah, no, I guess initially, Eve and I, we actually interviewed for the same job. So I will say that I did get said job. But I remember coming out of the interview room and seeing her there and in the chair, and I remember going upstairs like, well, I didn't get this job. Like, I didn't get that one. So moving along, right? We were walking upstairs and kind of like, yeah, no, I didn't get this one. No big deal, right? And so I was kind of surprised. I mean, I interviewed in August, and then in November when they called me to say that I got the job, they're like, oh my gosh, she must have turned it down. But anyhow, I'll take it. Right? But no.
All right. So there you go.
Yeah, but she ended up working at Molson after as well. She ended up getting hired a while later, and we worked together for a while. I mean, anyhow, but things progressed after. I mean, she was with someone, I was with someone, but then those things didn't work out. And years later, then there we were.
Years later, and it's years later you have a son as well. Can you tell us a bit about your son and fatherhood in general?
Yeah, so he'll be 6 on the 23rd of this month, actually. And it's crazy to talk about how kids age you, right? I mean, it's, I still don't feel old, but, then all of a sudden I'm chasing kids around on the ice on Saturday and Sunday mornings now for games and practices. And my body begs to differ now. But, it's incredible, right? I mean, it's one of those things I always say. People are like, I don't know if I want to be a parent or not. And I was like, well, I don't think you really do until you are, right? It's one of those things you can't prepare for it. Like, it's just, I still think of like the first day coming home with them, like to the empty house, and you don't have the nurses in the hospital helping you out anymore. It's like, oh God, what have we done? Right. But anyhow, we've made it 6 years with them, or almost to the 6-year mark. And I mean, it's been unreal. I mean, I can't even explain it.
All right. You say, go. Yeah, please.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, it's just hard to really put it into words, right? But, it's been great.
I see. So you mentioned coaching there. You are coaching squirts, right? How funny is it to coach squirts?
It's amazing. And, it's one of those things that I went into the year and I didn't know if I would or I wouldn't. And they put out something for, I think I thought about it. And I was like, we'll see. They're probably, bombarded with people that are looking to coach. So kind of left it at that. And I got to talking to one of the people that were running, like when they were getting ready to get it started, and they were picking the teams and evaluating players. And they said, well, we're looking for some volunteers. I said, well, I'll help out. I'll help out one of the teams. And anyhow, weeks, you put in your request, and all of a sudden you're a head coach. And it's like, okay, all right, you're into it now. And, I think like the first, oh my God, going to the first, like the practices were fine. Like the coordinator, Wally Bray, I mean, he's been fantastic with helping out and being involved. And, now since Christmas, he's letting us kind of run the practices ourselves. But I think of the first game, and, you've got 12 kids, you're limited with the amount of people you can have on the ice now, or people you can have involved. So, trying to arrange, who's got to come out, who's got to go back in, who's in net. Like, I mean, it's chaos, right? I mean, you can almost use 2 people on the bench, and then like, I mean, it was pretty steep learning curve for the first one. And thankfully, one of the parents said, would you like a hand? He said, man, like, I don't care if I get on the ice. I just want to get on, I'll get on the bench and help you out. I was like, perfect, right? I mean, just trying to straighten it out, because certainly when you got, it's not like you can talk to the kids before, like you're scattered in different dressing rooms. Like there's somebody can get in this dressing room, somebody can get in that dressing room with the COVID rules and stuff. So, you can only get in 15 minutes before a game. And, don't get me wrong, they're young kids, so it's not like you're going through systems or anything with them.
Well, I was going to say, you probably can't even organize them anyway beforehand. You have to do a lot of directing, it sounds like, at the time, like, go here, get out, go, come.
Yeah, like the puck's that way, right? Like, it's amazing, because I mean, some of the kids, I mean, it's, at that age, there's a wide range, right? Like there's kids that can't stop, and then there's kids that are flying, right? And we had some kids at the start that we weren't sure we could get moved up. Now Wally did after, because I mean, they just dominated. I mean, some of the kids that were, probably their second year, a little bit more advanced, like if you can skate at that level and move the puck, you're exceptional, right? So
I wouldn't know.
Get a couple. Right? Listen, stick with Kenny Mack, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But
well, now you could have Josh skate in front of your boys, and they could follow behind Josh and see, right? He's a skating coach now, and he knows all about it. But
you talk about 15 minutes, showing up 15 minutes for the rink. You could spend that long and more tying all those kids' skates, like, let alone try and coach them anything. Jeez.
And I was just about to say, I've been so amazed. And the other day, we had a game, and I was on the bench for this one, and I had to tie up a couple pairs of skates. It's amazing to me the different ways you can lace up a boot. Like, I mean, it was almost impossible to tie these skates. It's no wonder the parents can't get the skates tied. I don't even know how you thought about moving those through the holes. Like, it made no sense to me. It's like, I need like a full hour so I can relace your skate boot before I can properly do this, right? And I mean, it's amazing. I mean, between like the two kids I had to tie on Sunday for the game, I was like, I don't even know how to begin. Like, it's incredible. And both were different, and maybe they're ahead of the times. I don't know. Maybe it's the right way, and I've got the wrong way, right?
2021, buddy. Come on. Say the late 90s.
They're skipping holes, and they got one side that's 4 feet, and the other side's 2 inches, and there's all kinds of stuff going on.
But you take for granted, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that didn't grow up around the game, or they're not involved, or and they're new to it. And their kids are like, you kind of forget that. It's like, to me, it's like, oh, that's just stuff that right? And then on Sunday, like, there was one kid that got dropped off, and I was going in, and we were talking. I was like, "Oh, hey, Nelson, how's it going?" Right? And anyhow, like, he had just gotten out of his car, and he had his skates on, but I guess he took his skate guards off before he got out of the car. So all I could hear was crunch, crunch, crunch going across the pavement, going into the rink, right? And God love me, he's the hardest worker, I'd say, that's out there. And he ended up getting a couple goals. And I remember, like, touched the bottom of his skate. I said, Nelson, man, you gotta keep your skating guards on walking in. Like, they were demolished. Like, how he made it through the game on Sunday, it was amazing to me. But that's one hockey, right?
Yeah, one nick and you're gone. But for the squirts, they don't care. You just somehow you can still skate. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's so funny though, right? But it's been great. I got to say, it's one of those things that, I didn't know. I was like, yeah, I'll be involved and help out, but I love it. Now I don't know what my exit is out of the game, right? I don't know how I could not be involved next year. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I am curious. Do you have any other plans for it now? Now that you're in, you say you don't know where the exit is. Do you have plans in the future? Do you think maybe another level? Do you somehow think this is fun if I were going to actually get on to kids who are really starting to really want to develop and then help people out to the next level? Is that something?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think I got something I can offer. Maybe I don't, right? I mean, that's what I wonder, right? Is like, man, do I have something I can give to the kids? Is there something that, but I mean, for me, I think it was something that I battled. I mean, obviously, Gavin's just kind of getting into it. Gavin's my son. And watching my nephews play over the years. So, I mean, I've got a nephew that's playing Bantam now. He played Pee Wee AAA last year. I got my other nephew, he's playing in net. He's in his second year of Adam. And, like watching them over the years and playing, I'm going and watch, you're seeing there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on in the stands there. And you're seeing like, it's like, man, like, I don't know. Like, I think I'd almost have to coach. Like, I think I'd have to be involved when you're listening to some of the stuff and, people are up there and they've got their stopwatches and my son only got this much time or this and that. Like, and maybe that happened when we played. I don't know. I mean, I guess, when you're on the ice, you're away from it, but I feel like there's some crazy stuff that goes on now. Like, part of me feels like I almost got to be there, and I'll be like, you know what? If you don't like it, take your kid somewhere else. Like, I don't know. Like,
That's just it. When you're on the ice, you're away from it. I don't.
yeah.
The stands is a tough place to be. I like being on the ice and being down there where you just don't have to worry about that sort of thing.
Because I often wondered, like, my father was always kind of in the corner away from most of the people watching the games. Like, he wasn't in the thick of the fans up there hooting and hollering. Like, he was kind of quietly observing in the corner. And, you know, I think I know why. I mean,
Yep.
probably wanted some peace and quiet to observe the game, right? But
Same as Terry, he just be in the back.
The kids make it all worthwhile. It's so, you listen to the parents and it's negative and, you know, not all parents, not all, but one or two can ruin it for everybody. But the kids are just hilarious. The kids are just being on the ice level, having them mic'd up, like basically because you're down there listening to them. Oh, it's the best.
There's one kid. Oh my God. Yeah, honestly, there's a couple I can think of. And like, he makes my day every time I see him on the ice, right? He's just such a ray of sunshine when you get in, just talking, just easy going. And like, you know, he doesn't care. Doesn't care if he's the first, doesn't care if he's the last, no big deal, right? So I was like, you're doing some of the races. I was like, come on, I'm going to race. I said, you know, let's see who's going to be first this time. He's like, it's not going to be me. And no big deal. He's just like, not a care in the world, right? Like, someone's not going to die of stress. And he's just like, he got up in the line up there, and I felt like I hadn't seen him in practice. Like, we had to practice Saturday, and we're doing like one of the drills there. And I just don't recall seeing him like through the jigs of it all. And we're 20 minutes into practice, and we're doing like this little bit of an obstacle course. And he came up and was like, when did you get here? Did you just get here? He's like, I guess so. He's kind of laughing, just real easy going. Like, he's just like, man, it's like wicked, right? Like, just like the attitudes of them, like they're there for fun, the right reasons. There's no pressure at this age, you know. It's just, I gotta say, like, I think I'm getting as much out of it. Probably, I hope that they're getting something out of it. But I know I am. It's been pretty rewarding. I gotta say, like, it's hard because your weekends now all of a sudden, you know, like, you're setting an alarm on weekends when I probably never had to do that, right? I mean, well, I haven't had to set an alarm in a while because Gavin is my alarm for the most part. You don't sleep in a whole lot, but you know, like, you're going to the rink, and you know, it's but it's been great. And now with the news we had today with COVID, we're having a little bit of an outbreak down here. So now hockey's kind of, all those group activities are suspended for 14 days. So I'm almost sad that I might have the opportunity to sleep in this weekend. You know, like, you think about the kids and these activities. I mean, keeping the normalcy for them, right? I mean, for us, we'll get through it, but you know, for them, it'd be nice to keep that stuff going on, right?
Oh man, well, that's pretty exciting. I am jealous here. You know, all the guys are involved in coaching, it seems, and I just know that I would like to be involved in that. But it's not as much opportunity, certainly where I'm at right now. But I just hear that, and I'm just glad to hear it, right? That you're having fun with your boy and getting involved there and getting lots out of it.
Yeah. And hopefully he enjoys it, right? And he seems to for now, right? I mean, it's
yeah.
Who knows? I know you're like, all right, man, I want to get Dad out of here, right?
Yeah. As you said, you already recognize that you definitely have something to offer from judging from what you hear. You're like, man, I mean, that's not really going to be helpful. And then you know what's helpful. And then all your experience, even stuff I'm hearing about today, I don't even know about in your hockey experience, right? Then, you know, it sounds pretty rich what you're going to give them. And then on top, you know, especially at the young level, it's about having fun. And you're certainly bringing that to them, right? I know that they're just like, probably think it was Mr. Grant or Steve, whatever they call it. It's just, you know, how much fun is it? So, I know you're trying to
engage with them. Yeah, and just, you know, geez, even just joking around in the early mornings, you know, like, there's, you know, a couple of the kids and a little bit tired. It's like, you didn't have your coffee this morning, right? And they're just like, there's just such personality. Like, coffee? I don't drink coffee. That's like the funniest thing in the world that I even ask them that they do that. You know, it's just the little things that they appreciate it, just taking the time to, you know, geez, ask what they have for breakfast. I mean, that's, you know, little things like they just, you know, but anyhow.
They'll remember it forever, at least the impression of it.
Yeah.
Now, so I do know you like a good joke, and in your household, you've got you're a Leafs fan, and then you've got a Habs fan in there. Now, I know this is probably familiar for a lot of families in Atlantic, Canada, and Eastern Canada, but you guys have a little bit of fun with it. Tell us, Josh, do you have something you saw, or?
Well, that's a classic introduction. You like jokes, and you're a Leafs fan, so that's like. You must like jokes.
Just like the joke itself, right? I mean, I think about my sales team. I think most of them are Montreal fans. It's constant abuse towards the Leafs.
Oh, your mom.
I love that you're because your wife is a Habs fan and you are a Leafs fan through and through. Same as our sister, Turin. She's a Leafs fan and her girlfriend's a Montreal fan. But so you had there's a couple of things I want to ask you about. You had these great pictures on Facebook, especially one night I'll never forget. You know that GIF going around now, or GIF, or whatever you call them. I don't know. I'm an old man. I don't know what these are. But anyway, the Leafs fan with it's a brother and sister. I think he's smiling, and then instantly he's sour. That's what you look like in this picture. You're just because the Leafs lost, the Habs beat them, and she's just all smiles, and you're all, and everyone's dressed up in the gear. It's the greatest picture in the world. I want you to bring us to that moment.
I tell you, I mean, she doesn't involve herself with hockey that much, but if the Leafs in Montreal are playing, she would love nothing more than to give me a hard time about the Leafs, especially if Montreal wins. And she's always got a sharp comeback if Toronto actually happens to pull one of these games out. It's she loves to give it to me, right? I mean, she's one of those Habs fans that is just and that was painful.
You don't win even when the Leafs win?
I can't win.
Yeah, that's an experience a lot of husbands.
And I think about that picture. I know it's actually across the street at a friend's house, and we were amped up for that game, and I think that was pre-kids too, so we probably had a few. We both probably had a few drinks that night. And no responsibilities, but yeah, we had. She's competitive as well, so that should come naturally to Gavin, I guess, to both of us. But yeah, she didn't mind rubbing it in that Montreal had won that night, and I took my licks. Right, you saw the sad face. I played the part.
See it.
Well,
yeah, that was part of the bet, right? I had to pose for the picture.
Yeah. It sounds to me like you got, family life is, happy and well in there. And I love to hear all that stuff. I guess I'm going to take us out here, but we're going to go out with a bit of a flurry. We're going to take you into a segment of our one-timers now. So if you've seen the one-timers, you know that we just lay them on you quick and you just give us whatever answer occurs to you. All right. Who was your favorite team growing up?
The Toronto Maple Leafs.
Of course they were. Who was your favorite player?
Wendell Clark.
I had that in mind that maybe he's going to say Wendell. Anyway, sorry. There you go. Wendell. Nice. Which Seinfeld character do you most relate to?
Ooh. Tim Watley? No, I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, well,
that's a good question. I don't think I've ever thought about that. I can't say George. I'm not that neurotic, I don't think, but it can't be a Kramer. I mean, I don't know. Maybe somewhere between Jerry and Elaine. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of clowns around you, and you're the sensible guy in the middle, is that it? Which Seinfeld character would you most like to hang out with?
Oh, it would have to be Kramer. Maybe Newman. I don't know. There's so many good characters.
I know. These are not simple questions on here, Grant.
Jackie, I don't know.
What is your record for goals in a season?
I'm going to say it was, would have been, say, Adam or Pee Wee before I switched to playing D, but I don't know. God.
Make up a
I had
number.
a 4-goal game once in Pee Wee B. I don't know. Maybe it's 4. I don't know.
Hey, I'll take that as a great answer.
Like 20. Give me 20. Put 20 down there. I'm sure it's not recorded anywhere. I'm not on Hockey DB at that age, so let's call it 20. The older I am, the better I am, right?
Yeah, I'm not really taking notes on it, but I guess I'll take that 20 if you want me. If you
20.
okay.
I am going to research the crap out of that.
Okay. How many career fights did you have?
Oh, I didn't have too many, I don't think. 5 or 6 maybe.
What would you think your record is?
Even, all of them.
Even all of them, attaboy. Okay, and your mom saw one of them. Okay, who's your dream NHL D partner all time?
All-time D partner. God, maybe Eric Carlson. He'd be fun to watch there, right? I could be the stay-at-home. Let him go.
Left shot, right shot. There you go. As a D, are you all about the longer stick for reach or the shorter stick for puck handling?
As I claimed earlier, I'm not that big of a puck handler, but not bad, right? Not like chopsticks or anything, but I'm kind of in between. I mean, I think I cut my stick longer now because I probably can't bend over as much with my back these days with aging, right? I think I used to cut it off somewhere at the lips. Now I'm up to the nose for sure.
Yeah, I keep getting longer as I get older too. All right. Do guns kill people?
No, Mr. Larson does.
He's got all the names. What's your guilty pleasure song or songs?
Guilty pleasure song. I tell you, this could go anywhere. Jeez. I'm not a fan of music. I know. Yeah. I mean, I can't lie. Roxette Joyride is on my running list.
That is on my playlist right now.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I will get it up. What about guilty pleasure movies?
Guilty pleasure movies. I mean, I don't think I'll ever get sick of Happy Gilmore. I mean, that's a go-to for me. One I haven't seen in a while, I used to watch a lot for like chill Sundays was, oh my God, Kevin Costner. He's Billy Chapel, the pitcher one. God.
Not
For Love of the Game?
For Love of the Game.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, really like that one.
Nice assist, Josh. All right.
Thank you.
Who is your favorite player in today's game?
Favorite player in today's game? I got to go with, I mean, for me, a Leafs fan, I'll throw it out there to Austin Matthews. I think his release, it's crazy to watch it. I mean, I love Sid. I mean, overall in the game, I mean, you know, people are quick to give McDavid the nod. It's hard for me to steer away from Sid, I think, for tops in the game. But Matthews, I love watching him play, certainly, as a Leafs fan.
All right. Are you a face painter?
Oh, no putty here.
All right. Could you be with someone who is?
No, definitely not.
All right. If there was a shootout, would you volunteer to shoot, or would you just wait till they get to you?
Oh, I'd volunteer. I always want to be involved.
Attaboy. Can people have nachos for a meal?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you understand how people don't get stuff like that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What's the farthest you've made it down George Street in a single night?
Oh, up and back. We've done quite a few tours.
Attaboy. Do you blame Wayne Gretzky for the 1993 playoff exit, or do you understand that you still could have won Game 7?
I tell you, that was a tough one. It really was. I think we had that year, and I think of, it's painful. I mean, I've got that game tape. There was something that came out. We were watching all the way through those rounds and up to that disappointing end. Wendell, I mean, I think about him and the performance he put on that year in the playoffs. I mean, he fought McSorley, fought Probert. I mean, he was a beast. It seemed like everything was going until that moment. And hey, it is what it is. I mean, it's Kerry Fraser's got to live with that.
He'll say he was blocked, but anyway. There's a couple seconds left on the clock. You're inbounding. Do you pass it to a double-covered Teen Wolf or to an open Chubby?
Oh, always Teen Wolf. He'll find a way to get it.
What is your favorite beer?
Favorite beer?
Yeah.
Miller Lite, I would think. Yeah, I call it Miller Lite.
Miller Lite.
Yeah, my favorite. Yeah.
Would you say that if you weren't a rep for that company?
Yeah, I think I would.
Attaboy. Yeah, I was saying it too on top. Steve, your wife's name is Eve. Is your celebrity couple name Steve or Steve?
It's just Steve.
All right.
It just works.
It works. It's a beautiful one. Okay. Now this is a toughie. You're Kyle Dubas now. It's McDavid for Matthews opportunity. Strike swap. Do you pull the trigger?
Oh my gosh. I feel bad. We might get a deal on McDavid anyway. He's going to want out of there soon. The Oilers got to fix that together. Might not even need a swap.
Yeah.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Yeah,
Who would want to play with Zach Cassian? Come on.
I know. Gosh. Yeah. Jeez, can you imagine?
I know. Imagine the reality. I mean, what would you do? This is a tough one. Everybody should be considering this, by the way, right now in your head. McDavid for Matthews. Strike swap. Really?
You'd almost have to. Yeah.
Oh, Bold guy. Look at this guy is a real GM. All right. Well, who will win the Scotia North Division? And will that team represent the North in the Cup semis as well?
I want to say the Leafs. I will give honorable mention. I mean, the Habs finally seem to have pieced together a sensible team. I think they've got a great mix going on there. I mean, maybe it's partially because Jeff Molson signs on some of my checks, but right, I've got to. But no, I mean, I think, just as a fan of hockey, it's been great. I don't know what's going on with Vancouver. I thought they would have been holding it a little bit better, and certainly the Oilers too. But I think it's got to be Toronto or Montreal up there. It's selfishly, I'm going to say Toronto.
Okay, and do you think Montreal will be in the final with them?
I'd like to see it.
Okay, what might a bet look like on a Toronto Montreal final cup? Cup semi, or to get to that cup semi.
What would I wager?
Yeah, what might it look like between you and Eve? What might you kind of go for? I don't know. I'm not saying you have to say it now, but the type of thing.
I'd like to get the opposite of that picture. I'd like to get the sad face on the Montreal jersey side, right?
Okay, good. That sounds great. All right, man. Well, that was the end of One Timers, and thanks very much for playing that one, Steve. Really great. I'll tell you what, I want to say before we sign off here, I think we're pretty much hit the end of what we're doing as far as recording. I'll say to listeners, please share this interview, get in the comments section, ask questions. As we say, even if it's only a quick shout out to that you're there, it's really fun to hear from everybody. Steve, I say, it's just so great seeing you here on this. All the best to you and your family. Your son enjoying hockey, and just life in general. Looks like everybody's healthy and happy. Great for that. Good luck this season, you and the Leafs and the Habs. Get to wish both. And anyway, just good luck with everything. And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, and thanks to you guys. I mean, I got to think about, really that year in Truro. I mean, you guys made it for me, really. I mean, it was, you think about it, all these years later, we knew each other for a year, and, and what's come out of that. It's amazing what hockey brings to you, but it just speaks to you guys as people. You guys were always fantastic to me and looked out to me. So I really do appreciate that.
Right on, man.
This has been a blast, man. You haven't missed a beat. This is great.
And that's it. He hasn't missed a beat. So, and we're trying to put out here, guys, I want to say a final word here, if I may, that, we're trying to put out that hockey or sports or any activity like this is a value in people's lives for way more than just the shot at a career, but as an end in itself. And then more than just the physical health benefits, And then I mean more than just the life skills that you develop. We mean that this is life. I say on my Mr. Brightside show that life is happening now. Well, life was happening then, and that's how we spent that irretrievable part of our life. And this is what we have in our account for it. Did we live it well? Yeah, we played hockey. I'll see you guys next time.
That's you, and you might have a excuse wine out there. I should probably block him out. He's showing some nipple, but I think that's you. You might be sniping a few with a right-handed Paul Coffey there. I'm not sure, but
that may be a Paul Coffey.
It looks suspiciously like a coffee curve. It's almost like Jeff Daniels' character, right? Give me that booze, you pumpkin pie haircutted freak. I don't know. Just saw Josh's shirt. That's classic. I couldn't.
That's how he does.
I was doing skating schools, and out of nowhere, I get an email from Donzi 3 years after the last time I saw him. And all it said literally was, you're running a skating school? Ha, 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 for 17 lines of ha, 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 ha. That was all I got.
I can only imagine the pure joy of him being a keyboard hero behind there, the chewing gum. Strongest jaw in history, for sure. I've still been after him to write a book, right? So I'm still trying to get that one underway.
There we go. We'll push him then. All right. Come on, Doug. Get on it.
That is a Josh Boulton goal.